A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, welcome eyes and ears of the internet. Welcome to the third episode of Nerd Lives Matter, the podcast for outcasts. I am your host, Abraham Ultimate, and with me as always is your other host, Dwayne Spectaculous. Today we are here once again to pretty much talk nerdy to you. We're going to be going over a bunch of things today that we hope you enjoy. A lot of you are going to enjoy it. Some things we don't even enjoy, just such as the DC cinematic universe. We're going to be talking comics. We're going to be talking Star Wars as usual. We're going to have our second part of our Jessica Jones discussion. I believe we both finally finished the damn show,
Yes.
and I believe we both think it was pretty awesome, so that's really good.
Nice.
And yeah, just stay tuned. We're also going to be speaking on some more current topics, specifically rest in peace Scott Weiland. So yeah, join us. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Chilling out, ready for this.
Yeah.
Getting excited. Got what's today's date? The 5th?
The fifth. The 5th of
13
December.
more days, sir.
13 more days. Well, 14 for me, man. It's actually 14 because I'm going.
It
to
will
see
be for me. Yeah.
So we actually have to arrange something where we go see it in a couple weeks afterwards.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, we haven't seen each other in almost a decade in person.
Yeah.
Literally, we in the same city, opposite sides of the same city, but we haven't seen each other in almost 10 years now. So we have to make a reunion happen for The Force Awakens.
And that would be the perfect time. So yeah, that will happen.
Cool. So all right, man. How's your week, man? Anything particularly nerdy happening this week or anything?
Well, yeah, actually, on a personal level, I actually did, and I know I mentioned this in passing last episode, but I do draw, produce, write my own comic book, and I finished coloring and full production of the first issue of that book, and put it up on Amazon Digital for sale. So I am now actually the self-published comic book, corporate whore, media whore now.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think we put a link to that up in the on the Facebook page, which
we did.
It's there. Everybody go check out the Facebook page, not just for the awesome, fun discussions that are had, but also go check out that comic. It's really good stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. I myself didn't do anything. I worked. I got sick. I've got my Earl Grey hot. I've got my giant Ninja Turtle cup full of orange juice for vitamin C. I've got my lukewarm Mountain Dew, and I've got various meds and cough drops and antibiotics and things like that.
So yeah,
fun.
That should be fun.
But all right, so let's get right into it. Firstly, we have our pretty much weekly Star Wars news roundup, which we're going to be doing pretty much from here on out. As long as Disney decides to keep making a movie a year for Star Wars, they're going to be pumping out video games, books, cartoons, comics, all kinds of stuff. So we're obviously every week we're going to be doing this. We had put it out to you guys to come up with a name for this. None of you responded. So we're going to be calling this
For
shame. The Rebel Roundup, which is something that I just made up right now.
Very nice.
So, yeah,
there you go. Because that's the first I had heard of it too. Run that by me.
No problem, bro. It's what I do.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, I as you know, because like I said, they're doing a Star Wars movie a year. This obviously episode 7 is the beginning of a trilogy, which is going to be focusing on the saga stories, which is the story of the Skywalkers, the main Star Wars storylines. But they're going to be doing what are called anthology films, pretty much one every other year, aside from the main saga stories. And the one that's coming out next year is Rogue One, which is going to be cool. It's about the Death Star plans being stolen. But the one that I'm more interested in, the one that Lawrence Kasdan, the writer of Empire Strikes Back, writer of Return of the Jedi, writer of The Force Awakens, the one that he also wrote is the young Han Solo story.
Yeah.
Basically going to be about Han Solo in his early 20s, becoming the scoundrel and rogue that we all know and love. Have you heard about this?
Yes.
About this crazy casting call thing?
Oh, no. What?
It is the largest or widest casting call ever. Not widest. I think would have been for American History X.
Yeah, it would have.
This is the widest casting call I want to say in the history of Hollywood or film, 2,500 individuals just as of like 2 days ago. There's probably still more
Wow.
coming in. Have either auditioned in person or sent in a tape, an audition tape, for young Han Solo. I mean, this is obviously one of the most like coveted roles, I guess, in film history. You know, it's fucking young Han Solo. So some of these names that have been thrown out are pretty impressive. Some of them are interesting, some of them not so interesting. I don't know if you've heard any of the names, but I'm gonna throw some at you and tell me what you think of them, just to sort of get an idea of where we as fans sit on some of these choices. Some are really good. A surprising one to me that I didn't think I was gonna really feel until I started thinking about is Logan Lerman,
Hmm.
Percy Jackson. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hmm.
You actually look at the kid. He looks actually like he could be a young Han Solo. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
he's Percy Jackson, but he was also in that Brad Pitt movie Fury, where he was actually really good in. You know, it was the first movie I ever saw him in that was where he was an actor, not a kid actor. You know what I mean? Like it
Right.
seems like he
Right.
came to his own. But there's some other really weird ones to me. Dave Franco, not James
Oh,
Franco, Dave
I
Franco.
know. I
Uh,
can't stand that kid.
yeah, Hunter Parrish is another one that sort of interests me. He was the older brother on the Showtime show Weeds.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love that show.
yeah, that's a great show. Ed Westwick from Gossip Girl. Tom Felton from Harry Potter, Draco Malfoy. He's another one who I think is a good,
Interesting.
well enough actor. There's Max Therio, who's the kid from Bates Motel.
Oh,
Uh,
love
yeah,
that show too.
and then there's the names that we all sort of are everywhere right now in the culture. There's Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's Kick-Ass.
Hmm.
He's the official Avengers Quicksilver. Who else is there? There's Chris Pratt, who is actually my personal choice. I know he's everyone's
Interesting.
choice. Um, were this like maybe 7 to 8 years ago, man, I could totally see Nathan Fillion doing it, but
Oh
not
man, that
much
would have been
anymore.
awesome. That would have been great. Well, you know what they should do? And I don't know why they're not doing it, but they did it for Michael Douglas and Ant-Man. Why not?
Yeah, and they also, and as much as I love both the Tron movies and Jeff Bridges, they
Just
also did it for Tron Legacy.
yeah, yeah.
You
I
know,
say just airbrush Harrison Ford a little bit, and we're good.
yeah. How game do you think Harrison Ford would be for that? You know what I mean? Like, I doubt he'd be in it.
Yeah, no, after breaking his foot on the Falcon and then nearly killing himself in a plane crash, I think his Daredevil days are probably winding down. I
Or
would
they're just
think.
starting because I never heard of him doing any kind of that crazy shit. You know, back when he was young. Or
No, no, but then Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls comes along and he's, a 7-year-old fucker flying all over the place on a whip, and I'm like,
yeah,
really? Now's
yeah.
the time not to do that, buddy.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean that would be cool. I mean, if anything, if it were, since they're anthology movies, they don't necessarily have to hold to the whole like this is a story that is being told unfolding before our eyes. It could be him and Chewie like in a space retirement home telling their own adventures. You know what I mean? It would be cool to
Right?
have a framing
Why
device
not?
of Harrison Ford. I mean, they
Yeah,
did it with the Hobbit movies.
yeah, yeah.
I
And
mean, Bilbo
Frodo
Baggins
and
is there.
yeah, Bilbo.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Granted, your mileage may vary on how much you like the Hobbit movies. They're all right. They're not Lord of the Rings, but they're all
Yeah,
right. So
no,
I
they're
don't know.
tolerable. Yeah,
Yeah, they really are. But that would be really cool to see, actually. Or even if it
that
was
would be.
Just Chewbacca, and the entire like first 15 minutes of the movie was like the first 15 minutes of the holiday special, where he's just like, yeah, he's drunk in a cantina, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And then and it's the
Yeah,
fucking Han Solo movie, starring
exactly.
fucking
That would
Judd
be
Nelson.
awesome. Why
Uh,
not?
an age reversed Judd Nelson. That would be great. But yeah, so I don't know. What do you think about some of the casting choices that have been thrown around?
I would like. Oh man, it does break my heart because Nathan Fillion would have been great. Anyway, um, I could see some of them. I could see Percy Jackson. That would look pretty good. I could dig that, and Draco Malfoy. He's an excellent actor. I always really dug him. Um,
He was
yeah,
good in Planet of the Apes.
yeah, yeah.
The Rise of the Planet of the Apes. He was really good in that. Like that's what made me think of him as not just Draco Malfoy. You know?
Right, right. As a matter of fact, for the first, I didn't even say, holy shit, that's Draco Malfoy. I was like, damn, this dude's nailing it. Totally not typecast from there.
Yeah.
Um,
Anybody
I could,
that might not have been named that you might have in mind?
that's kind of what I'm thinking about right now. I'm kind of chugging through my list of people here and not coming up with any really better prospects. Now that you're putting me on the spot here,
Come on, come on.
dude, fuck off.
All right.
It's not happening. Move
All
on. I
right,
can't
that's
think
cool.
of anybody.
One thing that I wanted to mention about that is that they've actually stated that they're looking more for comedians, which I thought was interesting. I don't think that they're looking like for comedian, like they're not looking for Zach Galifianakis or Aziz Ansari, but I think they're looking more for guys along the lines of Chris Pratt who have that comedic edge because obviously it's Han Solo, you know what I mean? He's not as bumbling or accidentally awesome as Indiana Jones, but he has that sort of sarcastic edge. And you need to have really good timing, I think, to pull that part of the character off. You know,
Sadly, I think Chris Pratt's the one person I couldn't see doing it.
really.
Yeah,
Just 'cause
yeah.
looks wise, or what is it?
Looks wise is a lot of it. He's got just the build is completely and utterly different.
Yeah.
He's way broader. That would throw me off.
Man, that's true. I wouldn't want to see like a swole Han Solo. You know what I mean? He's supposed
Right,
to
exactly.
be a scoundrel, a smuggler, kind of greasy, kind of runs it at first off.
Right. And he was very wiry and thin, and Chris Pratt, I love him, man, but Star-Lord's got some fucking beef on him.
Yeah.
I couldn't deal with it.
True.
And even Andy from Parks and Recreation, he was bigger though. I mean, he was tubbier, but he was big.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
he just doesn't have the right physique for me to actually feel that. And that's kind of, and the one person you did really that jumped out at me was the kid from Bates Motel. That would be a good fit, I think. I really like him.
Man. That kid can really act. Like, I mean, wasn't he, what was he? He was in that movie about the little kid that just wanted to dance, like when he was really, really young. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No. That wasn't him. He was, Charlie Buckets in, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Okay, yeah. So there you go. He would be my top choice, actually, now that I really put some thought into it.
Cool. Yeah, nice. That's a good choice then. There we go. Yeah, you saved yourself.
Thank you. Problem solved.
All right. So next little bit of Star Wars news was the Mark Hamill Omaze video, man. Like that was awesome. Yeah, I love the Harrison Ford one where he's like sneaking up behind people, on Skype.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. He's not really here. He's gonna come up behind me. It's
Hi.
crazy. No, but the Mark Hamill one, he dressed up like the First Order Stormtrooper went out and just was talking to everybody, like, yeah, I guess in Hollywood or whatever, down there where they have all those
Hollywood Boulevard, yeah,
cosplayers or whatever you want to call them. But I thought that was just hilarious. Like, not only was he just being funny, he was being, Mark Hamill that we all know and love, but he was telling people straight up, he's like, I'm Mark Hamill.
That picture he took with that guy, yeah, he was like, "Hi, Mark Hamill," and that was great. That tickled me. I thought that was just
really
genius.
Cool. I just like the idea of all these stars actually doing something for Omaze. It's a really cool thing. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, we should all be charitable. I mean, we should or whatever. Like, okay, yeah, whatever. PC stuff out of the way. But it's just really cool that like the old guard is doing it. You know what I mean? Yeah, it would be easy to get Daisy Ridley or John Boyega to do this, but to have Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford to just sort of be having fun with this, you know what I mean? It's just fun to see it. It's a good time watching those videos. It gives me the warm and fuzzies, you know what I mean? So I hope we see more of those, and I hope we actually get to see a Carrie Fisher one. That would be cool.
Absolutely, that would be great. She could disguise as Jabba the Hutt. So
you're so horrible to her. You're so horrible to her.
I'm sorry, Carrie. I love you, but it's hard anyway.
Yeah. Did you see the news article that came out about her and her response to the whole Slave Leia thing?
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. It was cool. It's it's true. There's no need to get up in arms about something as silly and stupid as what she's wearing. It's not like there's not a million other versions of Leia that can be made. Granted, it would be nice if they were actually made, so I can see that part of the argument, but don't freak out and ban Slave Leia merchandise. Just offer a variety of Leia merchandise.
A little weird.
Yeah.
And also I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, also in Star Wars news, we've got some new comics coming out. There's the new Star Wars comic, which I've yet to read. I know I should have read it before commenting on it, but the storyline is so good that I'm pretty comfortable in saying it's going to be good. So get out there and definitely, if you're following the Star Wars comic, pick it up. And the other one that I have not gotten a chance to check out yet, but I do plan on it, is an Obi-Wan Anakin comic. So apparently they're going to go back and start addressing, I suppose, some of the pre A New Hope stuff, between the prequels, and fill in some of the gaps there, that are technically right now under the Legends banner, but they're
I
going to
was
start
going to ask you about that. I was
fleshing
going
it
to say,
out.
because, so, from what I understand, everything that's published after April 14th is non-canon, right? That's all
Right,
Legends.
right.
So
Yeah.
I was under the assumption that everything that came out during the prequel era, that, like, the early aughts, that was in between, episode 1, 2, and episode 2 and 3, was all still canon. So that's not the case.
No, that's Legends too.
That's
Yeah.
Legends too. Damn, how do you keep track? Like, what do you know is Legends? I guess you just gotta
Basically that, if it came out before, that's pretty much their gospel, man. If it came out before the merger, then it's not canon.
Okay.
Movies,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
They've
this is
got
basically the new canon version of the prequel era stuff.
exactly. And if you
That's
look in
cool.
the books, there's a whole new timeline. The Lost Stars book probably has it. That Aftermath, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. It actually doesn't. I was hoping that it did.
Weird.
Yeah, Kenobi had it, but obviously that was part of the old stuff. But
Yeah,
Kenobi is
and
the most recent one that I have that actually has a timeline, but that's not even canon anymore either.
yeah. And if you look at the older stuff, they all have that timeline. But I know Aftermath did have the timeline because
Oh, okay.
I cracked the binding on it and gave up pretty quickly. But
Yeah.
I did see the timeline, so it's like, okay, well, they're starting the timeline over, and it has movies and a few of the books that are out, but everything else is just El Wipoed.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, yeah, then that's gonna definitely be interesting to read. Is it a comic or is it a book?
Comic, yes, yeah. It's going to be a prequel comic that they're, I guess, going to start building up that canon as well as the post Return of the Jedi canon too.
Anything that has younger Obi-Wan in it, Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan,
Yeah,
I'm down for.
yeah.
Like, I want, not only do I want there to be more of that type of stuff written in comic and book form, I want an Obi-Wan movie, starring Ewan McGregor. Like, that's what I want.
You say that, and something reaches into the back of my mind and tells me that there was an article somewhere saying that he was actually interested in doing something as Obi-Wan.
Yeah, he
And
said multiple times that he's ready to come back. If he'll have,
yeah.
he's down. So.
Oh, that would be genius. That would be great. I would love
Yeah.
it to redeem some of that, poor episode 2 kind of stiffness that you kind of saw him.
Mullet Obi-Wan with CGI hands.
Yeah. So anyhow, yeah.
Cool. All right. Then we can go ahead and move into one of the main topics that we have. I know that one thing that we definitely wanted to hit on this week was just comics in general. I mean, it's a big part of not just, nerd culture, but it is something that we're both not only invested in as consumers, but also we create, we write, we draw. What have you been reading lately?
My main titles are very vast at this point, man. I'm actually surprised I can actually keep up with anything. Believe it or not, I do stay very up to date on the DC, the new 52 DC, because it's really the lesser of two evils at this point. I can't, yeah, I can't stand the Marvel freaking.
Really? Well, granted, I haven't read Marvel in forever, so I don't know if that whole Marvel Now shit is even.
No. Now they're trying to pull a Crisis. They're trying to completely revamp the universe by doing a new Secret Wars. I don't know if you've caught this or not. But
I have, yeah, and not only that, I've heard about it, but from what I understand, it's kind of been a fiasco. Like I just the past couple days, they've been putting out that like the last issue has been postponed until January, and then this thing start like in June or July or something like that.
Yeah, it's convoluted. It's a mess. I don't really follow it too well because it's very, very difficult to follow. So I do stick with a lot of the DC titles, Batman, Flash. I kind of did the whole run of Suicide Squad, which was actually really good. There was no Will Smith to be seen, so I was pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
and I'm a huge Harley Quinn fan, so that's definitely a reason for me to check that out. What else do I read? I've kind of dabbled in most of the DC Universe books. Um, and I do kind of get off and do some other ones. There's a couple indie labels that are indie ones that are Image or Dark Horse or Independence, like Wicked and Divine. That's definitely one of my favorites to read. And IDW, the Transformer lines, I get into both of those. The More That Meets the Eye and the Robots in the Skies. And I'm probably leaving off a ton of them. Of course, the Star Wars ones, absolutely. The Marvel remakes. I was very worried at first, that there was going to be, kind of crappy cash grab kind of thing, but no, they did an excellent job. And fortunately, thank God, it has, I don't know, it's Marvel, but they didn't mix it up in the Secret Wars crapola. I could have seen them trying to do that, and they stayed away. Not to say, huh?
What's that? Which one? Which title?
Marvel, the Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
They didn't mix that up in the Secret Wars junk. I mean, because I've seen it. Marvel has done some really nutty crossovers. I've seen Transformers and Spider-Man. I've seen just the
Star
weirdest
Trek and
crap.
Fantastic Four.
Yes. Although I will say DC, I don't know if it was DC. They did recently Green Lantern Star Trek.
I did. I saw the covers of that. I haven't.
Yeah, and I read it and I was like, all right, this is really kind of horseshit, but fine, whatever. And now, as far as Marvel titles, I do read The Mighty Thor, and I will tell you why. It's good, man. I thought I was going to be completely resistant about the female girl Thor, but they did it in such a way that it's awesome. I love it. And I don't know if you've kind of kept up with it or anything, or understood who it or figured anything out with it, but spoilers, people. Yeah, we forgot to tell spoilers. So if you don't want to know who the female Thor is, fucking throw your computer, tablet, phone out the
window. I
window.
don't even know who
now.
the female Thor is. So
it's Jane Foster.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's Jane Foster, and actually she's dying of cancer, right? And the only time she doesn't have cancer is when she's Thor. It's crazy.
Wow, that's
it's a really neat,
kind of intense, yeah.
Yeah, they did it really neat. I love it. I love the way they did it. And they did like an 8-part Thor series, and then the Secret Wars bullshit happened, and they had like the Thor Corps. I don't know. It's really stupid. Yeah, it was
weird.
Really dumb.
Was Beta Ray Bill in it?
Huh?
Was Beta Ray Bill in the Thor Corps?
He was killed. Yes.
He's well, I mean, granted, yeah, it's comics. He's gonna come back, but yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, they murdered his ass. Yeah.
Crazy.
But yeah, and now they're doing a new Mighty Thor series that's shaping up to be pretty damn good. So yeah, I do Thor, I do Amazing Spider-Man, just 'cause I don't know why, and
actually going back to Thor, wasn't the Thor like the revamp with the female Thor? Wasn't that written by Jason Aaron, who is, as far as I know, also writes the new Star Wars comic?
I don't know. That's a good question. I hadn't really paid attention. I should look that up. I don't know.
No, okay. I believe that he's the guy that did the whole female Thor revamp.
I think you're right. Yeah. I think you're right. That sounds very, very familiar, but I haven't been paying too much attention to actually who wrote it, because I don't know why.
Because you're a horrible, horrible fan. That's why.
I am. I guess so. But yeah. And what was the other one? There was one other Marvel title that. The X-Men mess. I actually am kind of going around the X-Men mess and checking out the new series. What is it? Extraordinary X-Men, I believe.
Oh, cool.
I believe is the title of that, and that's pretty good. I like it. And they've done some really messy shit with the X-Men lately. I don't know, more spoilers, but the Beast went back in time and took the original 4 kids and brought them forward in time. So Jean Grey's back alive. She's a teenager now. Yeah. And it's just a big clusterfuck. They killed Scott Summers because he became like the Hitler of mutants. So
I heard about some of that stuff. Yeah, that actually seems pretty interesting. I mean, I figure time travel is going to be a clusterfuck no matter what. Yeah. But if it's done well, or if it's done at least compellingly, then fuck it, might as well at least check it out, follow it a little bit.
And I've always been a big Cyclops fan, so I really kind of followed how they did his character arc, and I liked it. I liked that he became this huge asshole because he still had his. His reasons were still justifiable. He was still doing it for his people. He basically took Magneto's role and made it a little more intense.
Nice.
So, yeah, I really dug it. And it separated him from Jean Grey as well, because young Jean Grey, you can't really have that pervy little, 40-year-old, 16-year-old kind of relationship. So, and she completely ditched young Cyclops when they got to the future. So
Yeah.
it's interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the X-Men play out.
Cool. Yeah,
So,
I haven't kept up with a lot of mainstream Marvel stuff honestly in years. Um, it's been about a year actually since I picked up really any comics regularly, and when the last I did, I was picking up like Iron Fist by Care Andrews, the Elektra comic. It escapes me who was doing that, but that one was really good. Mark Waid Daredevil, which I'm not a fan of the swashbuckling Daredevil. I like my Daredevil tortured and gritty and pulpy, noir.
yeah, I
Um,
couldn't get into it.
no, I couldn't. I mean, Daredevil in San Francisco, it might have worked in the 70s, but now I want my Daredevil in Hell's Kitchen, New York. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
no, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say it's the same. I had the same feel from the Silver Surfer as well. I tried giving that one a shot, and it felt the
Oh, the
same way.
Mike Allred one?
Yeah,
Oh, no, that one I was so into. That one I
I
dug so
couldn't.
much. It
I
was like
couldn't.
pop art, and it was just weird,
Yeah,
like this alien sort of almost Mork and Mindy kind of feel.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
mean, I mean, Silver Surfer, I don't think he has like really that much of like a pinned down, nailed down tone the way Daredevil or maybe a Batman or even a Spider-Man has, where
True,
it's like you
true,
need these tropes to make it X
true.
comic.
You're true.
Yeah, but I thought that was great. I think what it was mostly was the art for me, was the writing fit the art, and I love the way Mike Allred was drawing that. Like it was, I've always been a big Madman fan though from back in the day though. So
I'm the opposite way.
yeah.
I've always been more of the, typical Jim Lee kind of fan. I know it's a cop out, but that's sort of, how I kind of was brought up. So,
Yeah.
that really didn't fit too well for me. So,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah. I just liked it because again with that Iron Fist, with that Elektra, the Silver Surfer, and the Mark Wade Daredevil, all those kind of came out at the same time, and it was again doing what Marvel always does best, which is sort of taking risks, I guess. I mean, it's like they'll take risks initially, and with some of their smaller titles, but then they'll let their larger titles sort of like be shit. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
don't want to say be shit.
yeah,
That's unfair, but it's be less.
it happens.
Yeah, they just become boring. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a million Avengers groups out there. There's a
Yeah,
million Spider-Man comics out there. I
yeah,
like what they do with their lesser known books and the risks that they take.
true.
Almost on the verge of like independent title type shit, where it's like we're gonna make this Silver Surfer sort of a fish out of water alien story. From what I hear, this new Vision comic that's out right now
Mhm.
is really really weird. I haven't read it yet, but from what I understand,
Nor have
the
I.
Vision has been given a family, and they're all like cyborgs.
I
Saw
saw
that.
that.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
I don't know what to make of it. I haven't read it, but it's interesting enough for me to want to check it out. Like that's what
Pretty
Marvel
weird.
is good at is getting you at least interested in seeing what the fuck it is they're doing with these weird concepts that they have. Whether or not they're successful is one thing, but at least they get you into it. But
I think
things
they're
are
better at I think they're better at conceptualizing, but I do think they fall into the trap of trying, and so many other companies do this, trying to be too PC, and I don't like that. I know this is not forward thinking, this is not the 2015 way of thinking about it, but I think there is a such thing as trying too hard to be PC, and I think Marvel is going way over the top on it. And it's kind of a weird justification, but um, for example, and it's sort of hypocritical because I like the Miss Marvel
Mhm.
comic. I totally dig it, and I dig her character. I dig what they did. I dig all of that. It's great. I dig the culture that they put into it. She has her own culture. I don't know if you know what they did or not, but the new Miss Marvel is
I know she's like of Middle Eastern descent. I want to say, or Indian
yeah,
descent,
yeah,
something
yeah,
like that. Yeah,
yeah.
I know that. I don't know.
Indian, Middle Eastern. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, yeah. And it's just they did it in a very good way. Um, Conversely, and also female Thor. They did that in a good way. But sorry, I know I'll probably get shit for this, but Captain America I don't like, and it's not
Oh
not
God.
not because he's black. You know why it is? It's
Why?
because he has wings. Get rid of the fucking
Oh
Falcon
God, are
wings.
you serious? He's the
I
Falcon
hate
though.
it.
Why would the Falcon not use his wings? He's the Falcon.
Because he's not the Falcon anymore. He's Captain America. Damn
But
it.
okay. Imagine. Okay. Like
Ah,
I get it's not a race thing. Okay, let's put that
it's
aside.
not. No.
Imagine Steve Rogers, Captain America, with wings.
Fuck
How
that.
fucking
No.
awesome is that? Like, that's
No.
so cool.
Mm-mm. No.
Eh, whatever.
Bah.
No.
It
I
drives
get
me
what you're saying though
nuts.
in terms of like backing up. No, I get what you're saying in terms of maybe trying too hard. I don't feel that there's trying too hard so much as I feel there's um forcing shit that doesn't need to be forced. You know what I
That's a
mean?
good way of putting it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I mean, you always want to have inclusion. You always, exclusivity is to me tantamount to regression. You're not moving forward if you're not, taking into account other ideas and things like that. Whatever. Politics aside, um, I think when it comes down to whether having a really good, rollicking, thrilling superhero story versus maybe cutting down on some of those thrilling heroics just to have a more politically correct or more, not even politically correct, but more widely acceptable, you know, um, theme, then you are actually, as opposed to including more people, you're actually excluding because there are people that read comics to read comics.
Yeah,
They
and you're
want,
shoehorning these things in, and
yeah,
that's what's really driving me nuts. I mean, it doesn't really matter if Bobby Drake is gay or not. It doesn't, you know.
yeah,
And I think it's just shoehorning in sexuality for the sake of having it there,
yeah,
you
exactly.
know. Gay or
The,
straight, Iceman's fucking badass.
exactly, and then I'm going back to Lost Stars actually because there are characters in Lost Stars that turn out to be gay, homosexual, and it's
Interesting.
not like this is a young adult novel. It's Star Wars. We're putting homosexuality. We're shining a spotlight on homosexuality in Star Wars. No, it's just like, oh, that's a character, and oh, okay, that's what he is. It's like make it if that's who the character is and that's who the character or that if that's who you want the character to be, then just do it. But don't fucking like point it out and be like, hey, black guy here,
Yeah, yeah.
gay guy
No,
here.
you don't need a big giant marquee or
Yeah,
anything.
exactly. And I think that's more, at least in my opinion, that's more what Marvel is I don't want to say guilty of because I mean it's their property, they can do whatever they want, but that's what I think they're the way they handle it is that they're holding up big signs, big neon,
Right.
hey, get it, we're equal. It's like, okay, cool, but I wasn't. That's not that important to me, anyways. Like,
Yeah.
you can make a character gay. I don't give a shit. I just want to know if you
Right.
kick the bad guy's ass.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. And this
but
has been your political announcement for the evening.
yeah, exactly. If we
We
don't
got
get
on our
it,
soapboxes.
yeah,
Yeah.
we got our soapboxes, but that's who we are. We're
Yeah.
young, privileged males in America. We can do that.
Exactly.
He's got one up on me though because he's white.
I'm white. Yes.
Yeah. So, but but no, actually, back to the point. What we were talking about was I haven't when I was reading comics about a year ago, I was picking up those. I was picking up the Ninja Turtles IDW stuff. I love IDW. I think IDW
Yeah.
does
I
really
do
good
love IDW.
good stuff with their licensed stuff. Like you
Yeah.
were saying, their Transformers is really good. Their
Yes, it
GI
is.
Joe stuff back in the day was really good. I don't
Mm-hmm.
even know if they still have that license, but like back in like 2010, 2011, it was really really good. Their Ghostbusters stuff is amazing. I don't know if
I've
you've kept
never
up.
read that.
You
No.
no, it's fucking good. If they got the Ghostbusters comic writers to do like a continuation of the Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray Ghostbusters, that would be amazing. That would be so awesome. It's so good.
Check
They
it
did a
out.
crossover with the Ninja Turtles, which was hilarious and really well done.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They did this. I like their big crossovers that they've done. They've done them twice. I don't remember what they're called, but it's a big. It's like Transformers crossing over with GI Joe, crossing over with Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
crossing over with Ninja Turtles, and it's all like within this framework of like an H.P. Lovecraft Cthulhu thing,
Yeah.
which is like awesome. That's like nerd boner 101 right there. Like that's you want to get nerds excited, do some shit like that. And no, their Ninja Turtles comic is really really good. It's the best iteration of the story I've seen outside of the original Mirage stuff. It takes bits and pieces from every form of Ninja Turtle media you could think of, from the '80s cartoon, the 2003 cartoon. I
Nice.
think they're even working in stuff from like the Archie comics. I think the Mutanimals are a big part now. If you don't know who the Mutanimals are, go research '90s Archie Ninja Turtle comics. They're badass. And so yeah, but I haven't kept up with them in forever. As a matter of fact, I bought issues 49 and 50, I think, a couple weeks ago in Austin, and I haven't even read those. But I think the last issue I read before those was like issue 36 or something. It was right before Donatello died. Spoiler:
Yeah.
I haven't even read the issue where Donatello dies. Doesn't matter, he's back. But
It's comics.
it's comics. But no, those are some really really good titles. What I have been reading recently though is I think I mentioned it in the last episode or one of the episodes prior. Christina got me Sandman Overture
Yeah.
for our anniversary. That was really really good. For those of you that might not know, Sandman is this 10. It's arguable whether it's 10 to 12 volumes because there's 10 main volumes in the actual series, and then there's Sandman Endless Nights, which is something that he did like a couple years after, like 10 years after it ended, sort of touching base with the characters. And then there's also a couple like trades about one of the characters, specifically Death, the incarnation of Death or whatever, and she's really cool. Um, uh, in the whole storyline, I mean, it's Neil Gaiman, who's one of my favorite authors. He's known as this
Yeah, he's
great
great.
great literary giant. Like writes novels, writes like I don't want to like talk down about comics, but he writes literature, and then he writes comics that are now considered literature. I think that they're one and the same, but just to sort of give you an idea. And now it's been, I think Sandman ended in '97. This came out in 2014, so I don't know the math. I suck at math. But about 15 years later, he did this Sandman Overture, which is a prequel to the actual Sandman comic, but he didn't George Lucas it up. From the first issue of Sandman, we know that the whole story is predicated on the idea that Morpheus, the King of Dreams, the Sandman, was captured, and stuff happened, and the whole series went on from there. This
Wow.
is the story of how he was, or where he was going when he was captured. It's
Oh,
like this
okay.
whole story. It's another. Um, it's actually just that. It's a story. It's not like, oh, the Sandman's greatest hits put into this. It's an actual story in and of itself. You don't really even see all the characters that are in the Sandman. It's a very specific story, but because it's the Sandman, which is trippy and so realistic and weird, just as it is. It's also Neil Gaiman, who has not only the ability to make things trippy, so realistic, but he's like a fucking weird alchemist, wizard writer. Like there's shit that he writes that is just like, wow, I didn't see this coming. I don't know how he could connect this to that. And Sandman Overture, which is a prequel, is also a perfect follow up to the very last volume of Sandman. It's like a circle. Like you
Huh.
can read
Nice.
it's better if you read like the first 10 volumes of Sandman and then you read Overture, which is a prequel, but the end of Overture literally opens on like, or it ends on the first panel of issue 1 of Sandman. But
Nice.
yeah, and it's like
That's
this weird
awesome.
circular thing because there's shit in the Overture that you wouldn't know unless you read all of Sandman. So there's this weird fucking circle thing. It's really good. It's available in collected format now, which is what she got me, and I was really wanting to find it to hold up for the camera before we started recording, but I don't know where I put it, which makes me sad. And
Mm.
then last night I actually went and I reread Civil War, which is
Oh,
fantastic. Obviously, we're getting ready for the movie coming out here in a couple months, 5, 6 months. But I wanted to reread it to refresh my mind because Christine has actually really gotten into comics a lot lately. I almost forced her to read Alias before we started watching Jessica Jones. She fucking loved it. She ate it up, and so she after that she has actually started asking me about what comics she should read. She read like Daredevil Yellow. She's reading Daredevil Parts of a Whole, or yeah, Parts of a Whole right now. She read Civil War, and it's really interesting reading Civil War. Actually, her perspective was that it was just really good. You know, a new comics reader. She's a huge Chris Evans fan, so she loves Captain America, and so she really likes Civil War. But I reread it last night. I don't remember it being as sort of glossed over as it was. It was almost like Civil War greatest hits. I know I've used that analogy once before in this, but it wasn't even. It's written by Mark Miller, who created Kick-Ass, created the Kingsman. He did Ultimate X-Men for the longest time, um, and this is one of his less dense books. It's almost like he's just describing these little vignettes that happen, and I don't remember the actual Civil War comic being like that. I remember it being really compelling, and reading it, it's really interesting, and there's some drama that happens, but it's kind of like, huh, so I guess this is a framework for all the other ongoing lines that came out back in 2005, 2006 for this, like the Initiative, front lines, all that stuff. And it's like, oh, reading this, you kind of just sort of get a sweeping overall image of what the Civil War was. And then the ending is a little weird. You know, I totally forgot that Tony Stark wins in the comic.
Cap
Um,
die or Cap gets totally destroyed. Yeah.
yeah, he gets beaten up, and then he's like, oh wait, like yeah, you're right. I am fighting against what I stand for. And it's
Yeah.
like, wait, what? No, you're the embodiment of the American spirit. You don't, you're supposed to go in. And so I read that, and I was like, huh. I was almost disappointed in it. Like, I remember it being a lot more hopeful than the way it ends, because it kind of ends on
Oh
a
no.
sinister note, yeah.
Yeah, it
And
does.
so now I'm wondering how that's going to play out in the Civil War movie, considering it's a totally different tone, it's a totally different context. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering what happens. I don't know. What do you think's going to happen?
Well, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to play too much into it because they've got 5, 6 issues into a Civil War II series.
Did they really?
Yes,
When was
which
that?
this year.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's not. The
Where
series
was
isn't
that?
even over yet.
Huh.
Yeah, it's. I'm reading it, and it's interesting to
Do
a
you know who's
degree.
writing that?
No, I've totally not even loved it. So I'm just, like I said, I'm just reading it, but I'm not really feeling it very much. Um, yeah, it's a continuation of the original Civil War, and I think it kind of goes into an Elseworlds kind of thing, a what if sort of world where they're still fighting each other, and it's escalated to a point where the entire country is divided, literally, and I mean literally divided into two territories. There's Tony Stark's territory, and then there's Cap's territory, and you
I don't
know,
even know who this guy is. Charles Soule.
I don't
The
know.
artist, well, the cover artist, Lionel Francis Yu, who's always been great. But, huh? Yeah, I'm checking it out right now. It doesn't
Yeah,
look
I
really
can't
good.
say I'm absolutely in love with it, but it's it kind of it starts to be predicated on the fact that they've been going at this for so long that they're tired of it,
Yeah.
and they want to make peace, but then there's some we don't know who yet, but there's some developments that try to get into the way of that peace. So
Yeah.
it's not great.
Yeah, I mean,
And
they're doing Secret Wars, what, 3 or 4 now?
yeah, this is the
Civil
third or
War
fourth.
2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, the unending, cash train of Marvel is kind of starting to come off the rails.
Dipping back
So,
into that well there.
yeah, exactly.
Which is silly, or not silly, but it's just sad because, I mean, Civil War was a really good idea. Like, that was a really cool, I don't say, I mean, the word innovative, but it was a really interesting idea that they could explore. And, wow, that's just kind of ridiculous.
And they're probably just trying to capitalize on the fact that their movie is, right around the corner. So,
Yeah.
brand name, Civil War. Ooh, Civil War.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
money, money, money.
the only other comic thing that I wanted to comment on right now, actually, since I haven't been reading that many, is the forthcoming, which I can't wait for, this Wednesday, Ninja Turtles Batman crossover. #1 comes out this Wednesday. It's going to be awesome.
Wow.
I want that to happen. It's another IDW DC crossover, you know what I mean? Whatever. I am pretty sure they're not boasting it or toting it as Dark Knight 3, which I even totally forgot was a thing now, because Frank Miller is just a crazy old man now. But no, this Ninja Turtles Batman crossover is coming out. From what I've read, it looks like it's going to be really fun more than anything. They're not really trying to make it a huge groundbreaking comic or anything like that. It's written by James Tynion IV, who I remember from his Batman Eternal. I think he wrote Constantine. I didn't read his Constantine. I don't like the New 52 version of Constantine. I like Hellblazer. Call me old and stubborn.
No, I agree.
Yeah, and I like the art. Freddie E. Williams. He did one of the more recent Robin comics, I believe, and Captain Atom, which I haven't seen either of those two, but I like some of his other stuff that I've seen on some of his other projects. But the one thing they are doing with this is sort of, I don't want to say marketing blitz, but they have like a ton of variant covers for this. Like fucking GameStop has their own variant cover because you go to GameStop for your comics.
Yeah.
There's
That's where I go.
Dynamic Forces Comics, Midtown Comics, Hastings, which I actually want to travel to the Hastings, in San Marcos just to grab one since we don't have them here.
Dude, there's one in New Braunfels, man.
Is there?
It's before
Yeah.
San Marcos. That's the one I go to
Nice.
for
That
when I
might
buy
be
comics.
like the one right there by the
right-
Dairy Queen. Like, is there a Dairy
No.
Queen like right near it? No. Okay. I don't know.
No, it's next to the Alamo Draft House. It's like right around the corner from the house.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
Sort of.
Then yeah, I wanna pick that.
Now
up.
everybody knows where I live.
Well, I mean, if my shirt didn't give it away.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah. And it's not just the Spurs shirt; it's the Spurs with the Avengers. It's got Thor and Cap on it, so it's still cred worthy. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. It comes out this Wednesday, the 9th. So go pick that up just because it's Ninja Turtles and everything Ninja Turtles has to be supported. But that actually kind of is a good segue into the next little thing I wanted to talk about, which is the Ninja Turtles game from Platinum Games that's coming out. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They recently did that Transformers Devastation.
Yes, I've
Yeah,
played that. I have
yeah.
it.
That those guys are really good. They've done some legendary games in the past. They did Beautiful Joe, which was awesome on GameCube. I remember playing that a lot. They did they're doing or have done Bayonetta for the Wii U, I believe. They did that Metal Gear Solid Revengeance game. What else have they done? I think they're working on a Legend of Korra game. I don't know, but this game looks awesome. It's gonna be mature rated. It's gonna be called Mutants in Manhattan. I really hope that it's not mature rated in the modern sense of that, of like mature rated games. I hope it's mature in the sense that it's sticking to a Mirage storyline or a Mirage style storyline where they're teenagers that act like teenagers. You know what I mean? So I'm just looking really forward to that. There's no release date for that one as of yet, but if Transformers Devastation, Beautiful Joe, and Bayonetta are anything to go by, then I definitely think it's going to be a really good game. So just wanted to touch
Yeah,
on
fun.
that.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of video games, I want to rant. I want to throw down my little rant here. So, yeah, one of probably the most anticipated games to come out over the last year or so is or was Fallout 4. A really big deal for a lot of people who are into the RPG genre because Fallout 3 was rated through the roof by Metacritic and IGN. You know, they really, really loved Fallout 3, and I played Fallout 3, and I loved it too. It's a great game. And then the next one, New Las Vegas, did pretty well. And then the new console comes out, PS4, so you know they have to throw out a Fallout there. And they did, and I bought it, and it's beautiful. I gotta tell you, man, it was a gorgeous game. It's amazing. I love it, but I really, really, really felt a lot of disappointment in the fact that coming out of nearly the first quest, there's like a game-breaking bug right out of the gates for a lot of people. And that just drove me nuts, man. There's a quest where you have to go and you have to kill all of these dudes in this town. And I went and I killed all these dudes in this town. And I went back to the dude, and the guy's like, "What? You haven't killed everybody?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did. Everybody's dead, man.
Oh,
There's
that
not a
sucks.
soul to be, not a soul to be found."
Yeah.
And I spent 4 days trying to figure out what the fuck, and I was just pissed. And so, you know, I hopped on the net and I'm looking around, and yes, it is a bug. And what really pisses me off even more is the PC people that play it on PC. There's a way around it to get past the bug. You know, it happens to some people, doesn't happen to other people. Like I have a friend who plays Fallout 4 on PS4, which is what I play it on, and no problem, got through it without a problem. Me, not so lucky. So, you know, in my research through that, there are many bugs in this game. There's more. There's several more quests that are actually bugged like this that are pretty much game breaking, as well as several other features that are bugged as well. So it's definitely an issue. You know, this is a AAA game. You know,
Yeah.
it comes from Bethesda too, which
Yeah.
really shocks me, man, because Bethesda is fucking quality, man. They're good. You know, they pulled Skyrim, and you don't expect shit from them, and this is really, really, really kind of bumming a lot of people out.
I
Now,
can
fortunately,
imagine. Yeah.
what's that?
No, I just saying I can imagine.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, fortunately, they are patching it, so
Good.
you know, hopefully, eventually, they're gonna get that patched up. I think PC players already have the patch, so us console people are kind of screwed, but or at least screwed for now. But you know, a lot of us were really, really looking forward to that game, and to get a brick thrown at us that quickly was a pretty big matzo ball. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty ridiculous, and you know, I would expect more from a big title like a big company like Bethesda, and I think that hopefully, you know, they'll pick it up and get that patch out, and you know, that's kind of been a staple in video gaming lately is is they're kind of following the same trend of Hollywood here, and A, not being very original, and B, not really giving a crap what they release. It's starting to kind of become a trope by this point, at this point. So,
How do you feel about? Well, I mean, obviously, you got the game, you've been playing it. They say they're going to do a patch. Is there even any like time frame for when they're going to do this patch or anything?
they haven't released the time for it. The PC people have already gotten the patch, and they say that they're just shoring it up to make sure that the consoles, that it goes smoothly into the consoles. So, we're hoping within the next week or two. But that doesn't negate the fact that I've had to completely skip the main story and just kind of run around when I'm playing Fallout, and trying to do little side quests, crap like that, just to kind of waste some time until I can, get back into the main story and actually, do what's supposed to be done. So it's disappointing to say the least.
Yeah, and there was like the whole controversy with the Arkham Knight PC version when it came out earlier this year. That shit was apparently broken beyond repair. Like I think up until like a couple months ago, they were still refunding people for their for not only the games, but I guess for the subscription or whatever service they had in order to play it online on the PC and stuff. And then there's that whole school of thought on Battlefront, where I know we spoke about this last time. Where I think it's worth the $60. Do I think it's worth $120? No. I mean, no. I don't want to pay. I know I really should have gotten PS Plus this week, but it's Christmas time. I wasn't able to get it, and
I'm waiting for you.
Yeah, I know, man, and it's just. I get that the PS Plus thing, because it's not just Battlefront that I would be paying for that for. I have a couple other games that I'd be able to play. I have PS3 games that I could play, on PS Plus. But the fact that the idea of having to buy a $50 DLC for that is a little, annoying. I've never bought DLC before for anything, and I always thought it was between the $19.99 to $29.99 range for full DLC. You know what I mean? For full season passes. $50 just because it's Star Wars. Having never bought it before and knowing sort of what the situation is, it is a little annoying. I'll probably still buy it anyways because I want. I don't even need to pay for the Battle of Jakku. I can do that. I just don't have PS Plus right now. I don't know if you downloaded that yet. It came out. I think it came out yesterday, didn't it?
I saw it because I played it tonight, but it wouldn't let me download it. It was weird. Okay. It's got it grayed out, and I tried clicking on it, and it was like, you don't own this content, you can't get it yet. And I'm like, really? So I don't think it's been officially released yet.
Oh, okay. Then
I guess.
Either way, I mean, I like the idea that since the whole controversy about the $50 season pass on Battlefront has arisen, DICE and EA have said like, okay, well, we're gonna give you a whole bunch more than for free. We're gonna really expand the free DLC that we're doing, which is really cool on their part as a company. But I mean, really. How do you feel that there are games that are coming out that are essentially broken? They're not even fully completed yet. You know what I mean? And they're still charging you full price for a game that you buy and then you can't really even play.
It's insanely ridiculous, and it happens a lot in the genre that I really prefer, the MMORPG genre. It happens almost like a plague. As you know, my very favoriteest one right now, and have been for quite some time, is Final Fantasy XIV. And they had to completely tear that down from the ground up. The first version of it was so horrible that they tore it down from the ground up and rebuilt it. And Square Enix was losing serious revenue to it because it was just so horrible. And they were having to refund so much and give free subscriptions and things like that. So unfortunately for them, they were able to come back from it and create a really excellent gaming experience with the 2.0 version of Final Fantasy XIV. To not only drag in new players, but to keep the old ones who were so disenfranchised and disappointed with the original version of it. Other companies or other games were not so lucky, like the Elder Scrolls Online.
Mm-hmm.
I've played that. I played it on PS4, and I enjoy it to a degree, but it's pretty buggy, pretty broken, pretty, disappointing in a lot of ways where, a lot of people thought, oh, this is just going to be Skyrim, online, and that really drew a lot of people. and it was nothing of the sort. I think they actually went back and made it more like Skyrim to kind of
Oh, wow.
bring people in and as a mea culpa.
Yeah.
So it's becoming a plague with these big companies putting out substandard stuff, and once again, I will say, as far as Elder Scrolls Online goes, it was Bethesda, but it was also ZeniMax. That was also the company that was chiefly working on Elder Scrolls Online. So, it was sort of both of their kind of their bads there, and it's unacceptable in my opinion. People are plunking down $60 a pop for this stuff. It better work.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we spent $60 for Super Mario Brothers, and that game fucking worked right.
70 to 80, man. Super Nintendo games were between 70 to 80 bucks.
Yeah.
I remember that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, you didn't have to worry about, and not only that, yeah, they were 70 to 80, but you didn't have to plunk down another $30 to $50 for DLC.
Yep.
You got the game and it either worked or it didn't. You know what I mean? If it didn't
Yep.
work, it's just when you exchange it for one that did.
Yep.
That's why I'm still. You call it a retro game. I know the retro game is the buzzword right now. I'm just an old school gamer. I still play my Nintendo, my Super Nintendo, Christina's Genesis. Like, I play those like on a weekly basis. I still buy for those games. Like, at least once a month, I'm picking up a new NES or a Super Nintendo game. You don't have any of the problems with that stuff. I mean, you have stuff nowadays where it's like, maybe my original NES doesn't work, but I can buy a refurbished one. I could buy a modded one. I can go buy a Retron 5. I don't know if you know what a Retron 5 is. It plays Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance, Sega Genesis. You can hook up the old school Master System Genesis converter to it, so it plays Master System games.
Wow.
It's an amazing machine. I need to pick one up, but I mean, if my top loading Super Nintendo stops working, I have options. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With this shit, it's these types of stories, like the Arkham Knight and the Fallout 4, that as sort of just an observational modern gamer, somebody that sees it from the outside, it makes me not want to really pick up these new games. I mean, yeah, I have a PS4, yeah, I got Battlefront, but I mean, I'm very choosy with the games that I buy. My PS3, I own. Probably the most mainstream game on the PS3 that I own is the first Assassin's Creed that I just bought about a month ago for $6 because it was $6 and it's Assassin's Creed.
Shit, yeah.
I played, what do I have over here? Puppeteer, Brutal Legend, Journey, Dragon's Crown. I buy really weird games that I don't have to worry about paying a season pass for. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know, but it's unfortunate that stuff like this happens. These big giant companies are putting out subpar product, and people still eat it up because there's not really an alternative, outside of going to like indie games, Kickstarters, things like that, which even those might not be up to snuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I gotta say, in defense of that though, or not really defense of it, but the reason we're going for it is the fact of the matter is some of it's really good. I think that without the bugs, Fallout 4, and I have a friend who plays it, and she's had no problems whatsoever, and I envy her so much because I could imagine that experience.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Skyrim, and Fallout 4, I will tell you right now, is just a freaking sci-fi post-apocalyptic dystopian version of Skyrim. Instead of fantasy, it's an irradiated nuclear world version of Skyrim, and it's fucking cool. I mean, just the gameplay itself is really, really great. So, I mean, there's a reason we go and we plunk down this cash and we go through all of this effort for it. But, and it's not excusable that they would crank out, a substandard, subpar product.
Yeah.
For that, no matter how good the game is.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, they take strides to fix it. I mean,
they do.
Unfortunately, they have to fix it, but at least they fix it.
Yeah.
So there's that. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I'm trying to get more into gaming right now, but it is a little intimidating, things like Fallout 4, because I know, like, I mean, Skyrim was the main example of this game that I knew people that just disappeared from life because they were playing Elder Scrolls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same thing with Metal Gear 5, Fallout 4. It's kind of like these games where you invest a lot of time into, and a lot of times you're not really doing much. The only game that I could say that that I actively want to pursue that's like that is it's even old already. It's Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
Which I've owned a couple times. I've always had to either sell it or get rid of it for whatever reason. I've never actually been able to freaking play it. I need to get the Game of the Year edition eventually, but that is something that I would get into just because I like the theme and setting. But it's like there's so many of these games. I want to play Metal Gear 5. I want to play Fallout 4. I have Grand Theft Auto 5 sitting right over there. But these are all these super immersive games where you can just enter into this world and almost never come out. And it's like, how do you balance the time? It's like, do I want to put in 5 days of my life into this game and then 6 days of my life over here? That's why it's like with Dragon's Crown, it's an old school arcade beat 'em up. I can play it for 10 minutes and then live my life. You know what I mean? I don't know how to divide
Oh,
that time up because I'm such I want to get into the game. I'm such an addictive personality that way.
I'll tell you a secret.
What's that?
It's you get to a point where your mind, or most people, I guess, most responsible people, get to a point where yeah, you've been immersed in this, but you can pull out of it you get kind of bored with being immersed in it, after a certain amount of time. I know I have. I mean, once again, still, I love Final Fantasy 14 with a fiery red passion, and I don't see myself quitting anytime soon. But I know that, as much as I'm into it, I pull myself out of it because I'm like, yeah, it's going to be this. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be doing that. I got other things to do. So, you do eventually end up doing that. And I know you bought Final Fantasy 14, and I need to get you rolling on that.
Yeah. Again, that's another thing and that one's not bad because it's what, $15 a month. I can do that. That's not that bad. But the reason that I have been hesitant is because I've been doing nothing but editing, writing.
Exactly.
I'm not always sick, but I've been sick this week, and it's like I don't know when I would have the time to actually enjoy myself playing Final Fantasy 14.
Exactly.
Just today on the Facebook group, it was everywhere, but I shared it to the Facebook group the trailer for the Final Fantasy 7 remake.
Oh God, yeah.
Just playing an old school Final Fantasy, playing Final Fantasy 4, playing Final Fantasy 6, 7, 8, or 9. Those old school ones, like even those, I feel like if I play for more than 5 or 6 hours, I feel like fuck, what am I doing with myself? But I keep doing it because they're so fun. I mean, I did that.
Right.
Those games came out when I was a teenager. I had plenty of time. Now I wanted to replay Final Fantasy 9 about a year ago. I played it for about 3 hours, and I was like, "Fuck! I need to get up and I need to go wash dishes, or I need to go get ready for work tomorrow, things like that." And it's like, fuck, knowing that these other games are so much more immersive and have so much more to do, it's just really, really intimidating. It really is.
Yeah,
But,
it is, and you're absolutely right. We have other shit to do. I got to draw. I got to, get my notes together for things. I've got, all kinds of crap that I have to deal with too. So, you just get to a point where you're like either, and that's what I do is I set a certain amount of time out. Like I won't play Final Fantasy 14 for more than 2 hours anymore.
Nice.
Because that's just the only time I have allotted. That's it.
Yeah,
I've got way too many other things to do in my life.
Yeah.
And even then, like I'll play Fallout 4 like while I'm making dinner and kind of just squeeze in my PS time before that, and then the evening is for Final Fantasy 14. So
nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I have to say about video games right now. Moving on. I know that we obviously we want to touch on our Jessica Jones, finish up our Jessica Jones discussions, but there was one other thing I wanted to do before that, and that is, and I don't even know if I told you that I wanted to talk about this that much. I might have mentioned it, but what I like to call the hot topification of the DC cinematic universe. I don't remember where I saw it, but it was a brilliant headline, or I don't know if it was maybe even a meme that I saw somewhere, but it was like, Suicide Squad is the movie that Hot Topic has been waiting for the entire time.
Oh God.
You know what I mean? Like,
don't mess with
obviously,
Harley Quinn.
yeah. Well, they messed with her. I know obviously the trailer dropped right after the that little clip we got on Gotham this past week of Superman being all not Superman and having people bow down to him, and then him going and ripping the mask off of Puffy Batfleck. And it's like, whatever. It is what it is, but it is what it is, and that's kind of what my problem is with that. It's one of the most heated debates that's out there right now, and that's the direction of the DC DC cinematic universe since Man of Steel, which I absolutely did not like. I don't know. How did you feel about Man of Steel?
It was like it was like popcorn to me, you know. It was something that, you know, was there, and I just kind of ate it up and said, yeah, that's good. But an hour later, I completely forgot about it, and it just did not last with me. And I'm finding now in my older age that I'm able to define good movies, good cinema, by the moments that last with me. You know, if something stays with me, then it feels like a good movie, and that's how I could classify as The Man of Steel as something that I didn't quite feel was a good movie because it did not stay with me. There was no lasting impression. I just didn't feel it,
Yeah.
and I can almost. Once again, with a trailer, you can never know, but you know, I can almost feel that that might actually work with Batman versus Superman. So I do take an opposing stance on that. You know, it sort of seems like there could be some lasting moments, but once again, you never know the trailer. So
Right.
I'm starting to believe thoroughly that you can't really make a judgment until you see the movie itself and feel whether or not it lasted with you. So, and I'm kind of looking forward to that. And I agree with you about the hot topification. You know, it's got this real sort of Adrian Dark, my hair's in my face kind of.
Adrian Dark.
Yeah,
That's
remember
hilarious.
that? Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. That's funny. Yeah,
Fake
yeah.
razor.
Holy shit. That's funny. Nobody's gonna know. I hardly
No,
even know what we're talking
that
about.
was
But I
that
remember.
was some severe inside jokes, world. We
Shit, I haven't
barely
heard, like I
even.
said, in about a decade. That's
Yeah, we barely even know those. So yeah, but you know, yeah, it's turned into this, you know, real kind of, you know, I would say 10 years ago kind of attitude.
yeah. I agree with that. It's almost like I don't want to say it's a regression because it never progressed forward, but it's like when they
Right.
designed the aesthetic and what they're going for in the whole in terms of the whole feel of this DC cinematic universe, it was very much kind of circa '04 screamo kind of
Yeah.
aesthetic, and it's like really like this is what they're doing. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I know obviously you never want to judge a movie until you actually see the movie, but just the idea of this sort of well, you say that it's the moments that last with you that make you see a movie as good. I feel the exact same way, but I also feel that it's the moments that last with me that make me see a movie as bad. Because I remember specific moments from Man of Steel that don't trigger good memories. They trigger that's sort of the downfall. That's the framework for the downfall of what I feel is a really bad series of decisions for this cinematic universe.
Hmm.
Kevin Costner telling Clark that maybe he should have let the kids die.
Jesus.
Kevin Costner killing himself in that tornado when fucking Henry Cavill could have just gone and saved him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Superman snapping Zod's neck. It's just, I mean, the debate can go on, and I've had the argument multiple times with multiple people. That's not Superman. That's not
Yeah.
Superman. Regardless of whether, the argument is always like, well, that's this Superman. It's like, okay, that's this Superman, but that's not the Superman that I know. That's not the Superman I want on the screen. So
Yeah.
you can say like, yeah, well, you want to wait until the movie's out for it to be good, but if you already know that that's the aesthetic that they're going for, that's the realm, that's the universe that they're inhabiting, then it's not something that I want to see.
Yeah.
Cholo Raver Joker, as I like to call him. What is that? Like literally, really, he
I
has
don't know.
damage tattooed on his like really,
Yeah.
really
That's
like,
stupid as shit. Yeah. And I
um,
remember seeing somebody defending that, and I was like, no, there's really not much defense for that. That's ridiculous. I think, you know, if there was a battle, you know, with Cholo Raver Joker and Killing Joke Joker, yeah, Killing Joke Joker would make mincemeat of that poor bastard.
yeah, big time. Yeah, like Mark Hamill, even in the Dark Knight or the Arkham Knight or the Arkham Asylum series games, whatever you want to call
Yeah,
them, games, that's a creepy, ruthless Joker right there.
yeah.
I can't see this weird, and God bless Jared Leto. That guy's a great actor, but you know,
It's like they're trying to go a little more Cesar Romero with it, you know, kind of making him sort of kind of a parody of himself, sort of
see,
thing.
when you say something like that, it actually makes me think that they're subverting us and doing something kind of cool. I hadn't thought about that. Like, I really hadn't thought about that. Like, that could be interesting, but even then, a Cesar Romero Joker is giddy and fun.
But
You
that
know
was
what I
on
mean?
purpose. This is, you know,
Yeah, this I
Cesar.
think is a side effect or
Yeah, yeah,
yeah of the aesthetic that they're going
yeah.
for.
It's an
Everything is the
unintentional. It's an unintentional parody of itself, which
yeah
is ridiculous.
yeah. And
Yeah.
that Batman Superman clip that we got where he's got Batman tied up or whatever. Everything's so sepia. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything's so washed out. Why does Superman look just so angry and mean? You know what I mean? I don't know. And also, one thing that I don't get about the people that are like defending the Batman or the DC cinematic universe is everybody's so against Batfleck. All right. I personally think that Affleck is a great choice for Batman, especially, well, not especially, but at least to me, it gives me some hope because Affleck to me he's a good actor. He is a good actor. He's had some great roles. He's had some duds, but generally he's a good actor. He's a smart guy. He's won an Oscar for writing. You know what I mean? Um, if they were going to put any kind of hope in this movie, it would be okay. That's one casting choice that I can really get behind. Everybody sort of gives him shit just because he's Ben Affleck. It's kind of tired now, the Geely jokes and the Daredevil jokes. Um, Especially when you see that Ben Affleck in that suit is Frank Miller's Batman right off the page. Like, they got that fucking right.
Older, big. Yeah.
Big,
Yeah.
like the puffy, you know what I mean? But it's
Yeah.
like,
Puffy.
I literally mean like if you look at a picture of Frank Miller's Batman next to him, it's like they constructed it well so that he looks like he's right off the page. Yet you have Ray Cholo Joker here, and everybody gets so behind him, like, oh, he's gonna be awesome, he's gonna be cool. But over here you have Affleck right off the comics page, and everybody's freaking out. It's like, where's the disparity in that? What is,
Yeah.
I don't get the disconnect. Like, you're so against Affleck as Batman, even though he looks just like he's from the comics, but you're totally behind fucking Jared Leto as this skeevy, uh, you know, ecstasy dealer, Joker, that you'd see at the fucking bar or something. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, that sort of that puts to me in mind the whole idea that the people that this aesthetic or this cinematic universe is going for are not necessarily the people that I would see eye to eye with. And if all of these are the type of people that they're going for, and they're the ones that I speak with and have discussions and debates about this with, then it's not necessarily something that I want to be a part of or that I want to watch.
Mhm.
It's like, here you have Batman looking badass, despite or because it's Ben Affleck, and then you have this Joker. And to me, it's just silly. I mean, you got Jason Momoa as Aquaman, which is another brilliant casting choice. I love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I really do. I think that's really cool. Um, but it's just disheartening thinking that they're all going to be a part of this, especially specifically the Suicide Squad aesthetic. I just, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I get you, and I think a lot of the knee jerk reaction with Batfleck is the Daredevil, unfortunately. And guess what, kids? It really wasn't his fault. You can't put that kind of blame on him.
That was Mark Steven fucking
Yeah.
Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy directed the first Ghost Rider movie, if you recall. I mean, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of, they get up in arms because it's the internet and you can do that, whereas they're not making an informed opinion on it.
Yeah.
You got a whole new set of crew and people, and like you said, Ben Affleck is not he's a decent actor. He's done his chops.
Yeah.
If you were to say, hey, well, I want to see Ben Affleck as he was in fucking Mallrats, well, no, of course not.
Yeah.
But he's matured, he's grown, he's had fucking 20 some odd years more. I don't know. He's had a long career.
Did you ever see that movie? I think it's called Hollywoodland, where he plays George Reeves, and Adrian Brody is this detective that's investigating like the real life murder of George Reeves, the guy that played Superman in the 30s.
He killed himself.
Yeah. Well, there's all been this for since the 30s, almost now going on 80, 90 years. This
Was that
conspiracy theory about whether or not he was murdered or not.
Oh, okay.
And this movie sort of explores that with this fictional detective that's played by Adrian Brody. And that movie, Affleck is a fucking beast in that movie, man. It's a legit role. He even like wears like a fake nose. Not that an actor wearing a prosthetic is like makes him immediately good, but he inhabits this role, and it's not Ben Affleck playing Superman. It's not Ben Affleck playing a character. he's the character of George Reeves. He's the actor of George Reeves, and it's it's good. You know, if you can look past the media, the internet, whatever you want to say, if you can look past the quote unquote popular opinion of Affleck as an actor, I think you can see that he's got some real chops, and he's he's gonna do good. If anything, like I said on the Facebook group, I'm serious. I'm probably not gonna watch Suicide Squad in theaters. I don't want to pay to see that. I probably will go see Batman v Superman, like I just to see what they're doing with it. I don't know though, like that trailer, like Doomsday, it just turned me off. I'm not. I'm so meh about the whole thing, but I still kind of want to go see that shit right there. So,
Yeah, and it will.
yeah. All right. Anything else that you wanted to get into specifically? I know that
Well,
you wanted to, we wanted to do our Jessica Jones part 2, so let's
Yeah.
get right into that here. What did you think about it? Like, I know the last time I think you were like about to start episode 8 or something. You were about to see where he bought the house for her.
Yes, and I was more blown away by the second half of the show than I was by the first half because it really picked up really well. You know, seeing her try to kind of give him a hero angle only to fucking stab him in the back was just totally like, okay, all right, that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
You know, she really did a great job on that, and Kristen Ritter just totally picked it up a notch from the beginning to the middle to the end there. And the whole angle with the parents, that really did keep me on edge there because, I thought it was a good rising action. It was a good kind of meaty middle there for the series to bring in his parents and have that relationship and really wonder how that relationship was going to go.
Yeah.
Could there be some sort of redemption? Well, we knew there wasn't going to be some sort of redemption, but, you have to think like, Joe Normal and, who doesn't really have that kind of exposure to the series. So yeah, I really dug that, and bringing Luke Cage back, and his role in all of that was really cool. The fight was great. I was like,
Yeah, that
nice.
was pretty badass. Like when they're at the club or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was so brutal.
I was really impressed.
It was good shit. The one thing, and it sort of goes into the idea of giving him the hero angle, of making him sort of try to, even if it was just a ploy, like try to make him like see things through the eyes where he could use his powers for good. I thought that was bunk, man. I thought that was so bunk. I hate that they gave him a sympathetic origin, or they tried to.
But even though it was a ploy to fucking stab him in the neck.
Yeah, like I know, I mean, I love that.
Okay.
But just the fact that his origin was what his origin was.
Oh,
it goes into the whole idea of just in general all these, at least Gotham and Jessica Jones, giving these fucking villains that are supposed to be despicable, giving them sympathetic origins so that they're fully rounded characters. Yes, I want a fully rounded character, but I don't want a character like Kilgrave in the comic is a ruthless sociopath.
Right.
He's a Croatian guy who he's in a chemical explosion that turns his hair and his skin purple, and he discovers on accident that he can make people do whatever he wants.
Right.
And so he just goes with his gut of being a shitty person and starts doing that. You know what I mean? In this, it's like, oh, he was a kid and his parents tortured him, and I
was abused as a child.
Yeah, I want
thing.
him to be a sociopath, and also this is something that I was fearing from the very beginning of watching the show. I knew they were going to do it. I was hoping that they had the balls to not do it, but and hear me out on this. They made him rape Jessica Jones. That's horrible. It's bad. Yes. In the comic, it was worse because in the comic book, he didn't rape Jessica Jones. He never laid a finger on her.
Right.
However, he used his power, which in the comic is pheromones, not this weird virus thing. It's pheromones that make you want what he wants you to want.
Right.
So he made her watch him rape other girls, while his power made her want to have him have sex with her.
Right.
So it was like a whole other layer of mind fuck. Like, yes, rape is horrible, of course, yes, whatever. But I mean, let's get into the whole concept of the creativity and the different layers of what things mean. And I just think it would have been way more fucked up. It would have been way creepier if he had never laid a finger on her and instead just made her want him to rape her or to have sex with her. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
Right.
just it's creepier. It's more of a sociopathic thing. But again, they gave him this "oh, my parents hurt me" origin. You know, it's like they didn't have the balls to really like push the creepiness of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and I
And that
know. Oh, go ahead.
no, no, I was just going to say that's probably due to the fact that they did water so much of it down. Like as you said, it was developed for, primetime television to begin with, and then picked up through Netflix. So, it already came in a lot softer than it was going to be, a lot softer than it could have been.
Yeah.
And I think that, I would have personally loved to see them push that envelope.
Yeah.
Because I'm a sick person and I would love to see that kind of,
Yeah.
I would love to see how far a show can push something.
Yeah.
But I can kind of see that they weren't trying to go to that route, unfortunately. So you got to take it for what it is. Because it wouldn't be accessible, and that's the problem. It wouldn't be accessible to everybody if they did go that route, and once again, it's a business, and in that business, you want to try and, maximize your market or whatever. So that's why they did what they did. Is it excusable? I don't think so. I think that, like I said, I would have loved to seen that crap, but I can see why they did it and what gain they would have had from it.
Yeah.
So.
And even then, I can sort of see the even though it wasn't, they did what they did. It wasn't from the comic or whatever. Within the constraints and confines of the show that they built, it worked really well.
Yeah.
None of this is to say that the show is bad. The show is phenomenal. The show is head and shoulders above anything else out there, and it was really, really good, especially with the canon that they created for this. It's just, it would have been nice, again, they got the tone right. They got the character of Jessica Jones right. I ended up, really loving Luke Cage. Like, that dude's badass.
Oh, yeah.
But it just would have been nice to see that. And it sort of goes into one last point I wanted to make about some of these TV shows, was that it's like every villain is ultimately sympathetic now. On Gotham, the Penguin and Riddler, at least at the mid-season finale, they're basically good guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Theo Galavan's sister, Theo Galavan's sister, like, I think she shot Galavan or something to keep him from killing a little girl. It's like, I thought you were bad. I thought you were evil. You know what I mean? Give me real bad guys. And it's weird too, because on Gotham they made Jim Gordon, it's like you think like, oh shit, he shot the fuck out of Theo Galavan, like he really crossed that line. But then at the end of the episode, again, they made it to where it's arguable whether or not the bullet that Jim Gordon used on him shot him, because A, it was on this side of the chest, so it didn't hit his heart, it wasn't in the head, and then it was the umbrella down Penguin's throat that could be arguable. That's what really killed him.
Right.
It's like, whatever. I do like that they introduced Mr. Freeze and they mentioned Dr. Hugo Strange. That was cool.
Yeah. And I think that, you're right. There is that trend of they took the concept of the redeemable villain and just blanket washed it everywhere,
Yeah.
There are no more unredeemable villains, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you show me the redeemable Joker, I'm not watching that show. That's done.
Yeah, man. No, the Joker needs to be
unredeemable. He needs to be pure fucking psychotic evil. No chance at any type of redemption. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. And also, they're killing a lot of old black guys on the Netflix series. They killed Ben Urich on Daredevil. They killed Detective what's his name, Callahan or whatever why are the old black guys dying? Like, that's funny. I just thought that was hilarious.
That is pretty funny.
But I mean, that's pretty much everything that I had to say about at least the nerdy topics that we had today or this week. But I know that there was also another thing that you wanted to talk about that we both really should mention, because it's a big deal in terms of maybe not nerd culture, but pop culture, especially maybe even music nerd culture. But I'll let you take it from here, man. Yeah.
And I'm not going to go into the year was 1993 kind of thing, because I could. It was a really huge part of my life growing up as a teenager, and I'm speaking about Scott Weiland, the former singer of Stone Temple Pilots, and then later on he was in a band called Velvet Revolver, and more recently he was running around with a band called the Wildabouts. He had a solo project called Scott Weiland and the Wildabouts, and he was a very, very big influence on me when I was quite young, And getting into music, I'm also a musician, and a lot of my vocal kind of stylings at that time kind of revolved around something, patterned from him. So, he passed away yesterday, I believe, in Minnesota, I believe, was the town, the city he was in his tour bus in bed. And, he's had a very long history with drugs. Unfortunately, most of the heroes from my youth really did, because I grew up in the 90s where, the grunge music was the breakout music at the time. And, it was a very dark, the 90s for teenagers were kind of a very introspective and dark time. And that music really reflected it. And we all kind of felt the same way that these dudes were feeling, and the bands of the time, unfortunately, the bands of the time were Nirvana, Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam, Temple of the Dog, which was the band that actually kicked off the grunge movement. If you want a little piece of trivia, Alice in Chains, one of my personal favorites, Tool, these were the big powerhouses of the time in music. And half of them have had at least one member of their band die prematurely, and many of them due to drugs. So, there's definitely a theme there that was back in the day kind of very prevalent. And it's really a shame because, in my opinion, personally, it's some of the greatest talent that's come to music. Ask, however you feel about the style of music, it's too heavy, too hard, too depressing, a lot of the beauty that came from it. And I will cite by example Lane Staley of Alice in Chains. That dude, toe-to-toe vocally with anybody, I would put him. He's amazing. I mean, he was a gorgeous singer. His voice was amazing. He had problems, obviously. And, however you feel about Kurt Cobain and his voice, he had a thought process, that when he wrote songs, his thought process was freaking just unbelievable. And Scott Weiland as well, great voice, and great thought process. He was kind of like all of them kind of rolled up into one. So, it's a great tragedy, but, we have to celebrate what they did contribute, and what he specifically, because I'm speaking about him, what he contributed to 30 years of music, and he did some great stuff not only with Stone Temple Pilots, but a lot of his solo work was really lauded. I was actually surprised at how many people knew who he was when he had passed on, because I was just getting my Facebook was blowing up with "Rest in Peace, Scott Weiland," and I was like, shit, man. A lot of these people were younger than us, that were really feeling his music, and he was 48. That's 10 years older than me, so that's pretty scary. But yeah. So anyway, I'm not going to get on too much of a tirade, but I will say that really hit home pretty personally. And if anybody out there, wants to hear some good music and kind of, expose themselves to something a little bit different, check out Scott Weiland, Stone Temple Pilots, Velvet Underground, Scott Weiland and the Wild Abouts. Velvet. What did I say?
Velvet Underground.
Totally different band.
Also good, but
also good though. Yes, also good, but much older and totally different band. But yes, Velvet Revolver.
And to tie that actually into kind of some nerdy stuff, didn't they do the theme song for the original Hulk movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, Velvet Revolver. They did. I forget the name of it, but it was. I remember the music video and everything.
Yeah.
So it all comes full circle.
So anyway, my brother Scott Weiland, may you rest in peace, man. Hopefully you found some sort of peace that you couldn't find in life, and I think on that dour note, we'll go ahead and finish up for the day. Unless you have anything else.
R.I.P. Robert Loggia.
Yes. Number 2.
Yeah, number 2. So I hesitate to want to know who the third's going to be, but they say it happens in threes.
Yep.
But yeah, definitely rest in peace, Scott Weiland, and R.I.P. Robert Loggia. But all right, man. A few bits of information. Of course, as always, we're Nerd Lives Matter, the podcast for Outcasts. Abe Rivera, Dwayne Forslund. We are on Twitter and Instagram at Nerd Lives Matter. YouTube, obviously, Nerd Lives Matter, nerdlivesmatter@gmail.com, and definitely check out the Facebook group. There's a lot of activity going on the Facebook group. Again, just Facebook/Nerd Lives Matter. And yeah, just thanks a lot, guys, for listening. It's been a pleasure. This is hopefully going to be up on Monday. Normally we've been getting these out on Thursday, Friday-ish. We're going to try to get these up a little sooner after we record them so that there's not such a huge gap in between what we're talking about and what's going on. So stay tuned for that. As always, again, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and y'all have a good night.
Night, everybody.